Hi, this is Randy Kirk, and yes, I'm disappointed. I know you're disappointed. These were not the numbers we were hoping for this morning. 405,000 was not where we were going. But I want to put it all in perspective, and I want to put it in perspective as somebody who was a manufacturer for 28 years and someone who's been a marketer for my entire career. This completely different perspective if you think about it the way that I'm going to show it to you. I used to sell these. I used to sell 5.5 million of these a year. I used to sell them all over the world, 4 continents. Used to sell them to multiple markets. As you can tell, Apple was one of my clients. We sold the US Army. We sold bicycle shops. We sold department stores. We sold mass marketers, advertising specialty. We were in many, many markets. And so we had to learn how to market to all of these different contingents. We had to sell a lot of bottles. We had a production of 5.5 million capacity, and we wanted to sell every one of those. Sound familiar? Okay, but we weren't growing our production anymore at those levels, but that Elon's trying to do, that Tesla's trying to do, but we had exactly the same kind of situation, needed to sell 5.5 million bottles. We didn't always do that. So what are we going to do? How can we look at the Tesla situation in the way that makes total sense? First of all, it is a great victory. They produced 440,000 vehicles. That was the number that pretty much everybody expected. That's a fantastic number. It's almost a 50% increase over last year, adding up all 4 quarters. And it's totally on the way to the 500,000 a quarter that Elon predicted that they would be doing in January of 2023. So these are all victories. Then there's the question of the miss with regard to how many were shipped. Well, Troy Teslike has shown where all those vehicles were, or almost all those vehicles were. They are on ships. They're on the way to Europe. They're X number of days of delivery. So we do need to look at days of delivery as opposed to total units that are still sitting in inventory. As the numbers go up, you're going to have more and more cars that are in the process of being delivered. And so if you have 3 days of delivery or 4 days of delivery or 6 days of delivery, you're still talking about minuscule numbers of days of cars in inventory when you have that many cars being produced and shipped. So those numbers are going to go up. They're going to continue to go up. You need to get used to that. So next year, we might have 100,000 cars in process of being delivered at the end of any given quarter. So this is an important factor to take into consideration. So production is there. 500,000 in January will be no big deal, or maybe be close one way or the other, that they'll be producing the run rate in January. And it'll just continue through the rest of the year until by the end of the year, we're at the 3 million a year run rate. And that means we're going to manufacture, as I've been saying over and over again, 2.4, 2.5, I say 2.65, everything goes well, 2.65 million vehicles next year. And then it's a question of selling them. Okay, that's the other side of the coin. How do we look at the sales side? How do we look at the marketing side? I happened to spend most of yesterday listening to a book called The Founders. This is all about Elon Musk and the beginning of his first companies and the beginning of SpaceX. I haven't gotten there yet. And then the beginning of Tesla. But I want to concentrate on the beginning of what he called X.com, which was eventually merged into a company that became PayPal. You don't think that Elon is a good marketer? Maybe. I don't know what you think about Elon as a marketer. I think he is probably the most amazing marketer of all time. And I'm just going to give the example of what happened at PayPal. So PayPal was in competition with another company X.com was in competition with the company that used the branding PayPal. And both companies got into this fight. You may remember this. If you're old enough, you'll remember that when both companies came out, you had PayPal offering $10. If you joined up, there was $10 in your account. Well, X.com came along and they said, we'll put $20 in your account. Then X.com said, not only will we put $20 in your account, but if you get somebody else to join, we'll give you $10 and we'll have $20 in their account. Now, this was a massive, massive amount of money. Just as they said in the book, The Founders, it was kind of bleeding money. There's huge amounts of money going out the door. But guess what? They were building their customer base, and they were going to be adding more products and services later. And of course, as you know, eventually charging to use PayPal, which was what basically saved the company. So interesting story. I will be interviewing the author of The Founders early in January, and I think you'll find it to be a tremendously interesting interview. So Elon says, I'm going to beat these guys no matter what. This is your guy. This is the guy that's running Tesla. He says, I'm going to beat these guys no matter what. If I have to do $20 and I have to pay somebody else $10 and in order to get that business, then I'm going to do that. Now, does any of that sound familiar in the Tesla world? How many early on for years, we've had these promotions where if I got somebody to buy a Tesla, I got 1,000 miles of free supercharging. Also, the person that I convinced to buy the car got 1,000 miles of free supercharging. Now, at the end of the year, 10,000 miles of free supercharging. Well, don't you think that Elon, you think he's lost his mojo when it comes to marketing? I don't think he's lost his mojo. I've recommended, I've got some additional videos coming out on this with regard to how to market next year in a tough year, maybe in a recessionary year. But one of the ideas would be stop with the supercharger miles. Just give me $1,000 to talk to my neighbor about buying a Tesla. Give him 1,000 miles of charging to give me $1,000. Give influencers $1,000. There's a lot of ways to do this that doesn't require killing your margins. And I am confident that Elon Musk will figure out how to sell 2.5 million cars next year. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know if you think Elon will sell 2.5 million cars next year if he makes 2.5 million cars. And let me know if you have other ideas of how he could do this. Let's share that part of it too. And I want to encourage you to get on my Patreon group, because in my Patreon group, we're going to do spitballing. We're going to be talking about a lot of ways of, we'll be talking about ways that Tesla can become more and more successful, and ways that we can become successful as stockholders or as just people that are influencers in the world of Tesla and all of the other surrounding products. So give me a heads up in Patreon. Get down to Patreon, and we only charge $5 a month, and I'll grandfather you in. If I raise the price later, you'll still be at $5 a month. Been great talking to you.